Hello, everybody. My name is Vivian,
And this is Pop.
and welcome back to Pop Culture with Pop. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about the new Superman movie. For a little bit of context, this is being recorded on July 10th. Me and Pop actually went to go see the movie early on the 8th, thanks to an early viewership deal, I think it was with Prime.
Yep. Early dealership with Amazon. It was really nice. A lot of people who were just there to see a movie.
Yep. And so this is going to be a discussion about the movie, full spoilers. So if you have not watched the movie, I 100% recommend you go in and watch it without watching this episode and come back once you are done. It's not going to be a scene by scene breakdown, but we are going to be talking about a lot of things throughout the film. Along with that, we took a day or two. We haven't watched it multiple times, so this is still relatively new thoughts about the movie. We just thought it was better to give some time for our thoughts to fully settle on the film before talking about it. So, I think a good place to start with would be the cast.
Okay.
So Nathan Fillion to me was a great choice for Guy Gardner. He is hilarious in the role. He does a great job of playing that kind of jackass role that Guy Gardner fills a lot of the time.
Uh, True, but well, everybody wants to know about Superman Lois Lane. I mean,
Yeah. I mean,
do David Corn is it Corn Sweat, Corn Sweet,
I f-
uh, and then Rachel. Oh, I'm gonna kill this one. Brosnahan. I think that's close. Did they? Because if they don't carry it, I
yeah.
mean,
I mean, they both do yeah, David Cornsweet and Rachel Brosnahan, yeah, I think that's how you pronounce those. But yeah, both of them do a great job. I think the dynamic between Lois and Clark works really well. I think this version of Lois felt a lot more fully realized. There was a lot more to her than just being Superman's girlfriend.
Yeah, I agree. You watch the movie. I think in the past, while I think Lois has always been a fairly strong character, sometimes you're like, well, she's lucky to be with Superman because
Yeah.
it's Superman. And in this one, I didn't quite get that feeling. Like I got the feeling that Lois they made a great couple. There was great chemistry, but you don't get that, you're lucky to be thought in your head. You're like, oh, they make a great couple. They work well. It wasn't, and I can't recall, but I don't think that Superman saves Lois in this movie.
There's that little bit when her and Mr. Terrific are like in the shrinking universe portal,
Yeah, but they're
but
saving they're saving
but
Superman.
yeah. Hmm. I don't think so.
Yeah, I think this is the first time I can recall Lois not needing to be saved from Superman. I mean, spoilers at the end, world coming to an end kind of thing slowly if you don't get saved by Superman. But you don't get that. You know, like she's not falling out of a window. She's not being
Yeah.
held hostage. It was kind of refreshing to
And
see.
she
Well,
is you go ahead.
oh, it was refreshing to have her not be the damsel in distress.
Yeah. Because she's also an active part of Luthor's downfall. Her, Jimmy, Perry, the assistant who I cannot remember the name of,
Cat, not
and
cat. The which one? The one who was Luther's girlfriend?
no, she wasn't in the. I'm talking about the people in the terrific ship right at the
Oh,
end who are all from the Daily Planet, and she is the reason Lex Luthor gets sent to jail because she publishes all of the information she found.
might.
Because I
Hmm.
know there was an assistant who gets brought
Yeah,
on, and
it
there
might
was.
be Ron Troop is the character, maybe by Christopher McDonald. It doesn't quite feel right. I'm looking at a list of the cast.
Same, yeah.
So I'm not sure if that is included or not, but yeah. It, and it wasn't. I don't even know if Superman got the whole picture before Lois did. I think Lois got the whole picture of what was going on first.
I don't think, yeah, I do think
Yeah,
Superman only learns about it when the story's published.
right.
Uh,
Um,
da- da- da.
and there's no origin story. I think that's been pretty clear. They don't start off with
Yeah,
that. Let's talk about the start of the movie because I think
yeah.
this is one part where we have sort of a disagreement. So the opening, which if anyone has seen the trailer where Superman crashes into the Antarctica, that's pretty much the beginning. But before that, they do a couple blurbs of text over the scene. So you see picture of white Antarctica, and they blurb about how many hundreds of years ago or whatever
3 centuries ago, metahumans
metahumans,
began to develop. 30 years ago, uh, an
soup.
alien is sent to Earth by his parents from a dying planet. 3 years ago, Superman first appeared.
I thought
Three
there was
hours
I thought there was one
ago.
right before Superman appeared that metahumans appeared. Like I thought it was a
I thought that was the 3 centuries ago, was the
maybe.
metahumans.
But
My
regardless, they start off with text explaining that Superman just lost his first fight and then he crashes into Antarctica.
Well, it goes 3 years ago, Superman first appeared. 3 hours ago, Superman fought the Hammer of Bavaria, which is the fictional, like, um, Middle Eastern kind of country.
That he invaded.
He know that invaded their neighbor, and
That's
he
true. All right,
stopped
invaded.
the invasion.
Got it. You're right.
Um,
You're correct.
and I think it was, and 3 minutes ago, Superman lost his first fight ever, and then he crashes into the snow and calls crypto.
Right. And then it goes
Crypt,
back to he gets in the fortress, he gets healed, he goes back and he fights. we're introduced to Lex Luthor and his team that is trying to take down Superman.
yeah,
Um, and Superman continues to fight and basically loses again, not
yeah.
as drastically, and then the fight's sort of over. And that all felt it's fine. It just felt a little like they could have done it a little differently. Like there's not a lot. There's some exposition about why Luthor does not like Superman, which everybody knows he doesn't. He tries to get into some of that history, and
Well,
then
I
it
feel
goes
like we get
into
more of that Superman stuff later on. At the very start, we don't really get much from Luthor about why he's right. Like we get the people working for him talking about he's been studying Superman for years and he's like calling out moves to the Hammer of Bavaria, and there's like diagrams on the screen of counters to Superman's moves.
so for me, I thought it was sort of a weaker introduction to the movie. Like, I don't know if we needed those blurbs of text at all. Like, I don't know if we need all that because they don't really go back into when metahumans appeared and all that. They go into Superman's appearance, and there are we're aware there's other metahumans on the planet, but I don't know if we really needed that text. I thought it was a little like, okay.
Well, I think the context of 3 centuries or however long they say it's been, because it is a long chunk of time since metahumans first appeared. I think that is kind of important because it makes the Justice Gang, which is what they call the group of Hot Girl, group Guy Gardner and Mr. Terrific. That's what they're called, and they are directly funded by Maxwell Lord. It makes them being such an amateur group interesting because it means, first of all, metahumans have been around for a while, but also no real superhero teams have really been a thing that we know of.
Yeah, so upon reflection, the way I kind of wish it would have played out is for the exposition part, for a little bit of the backstory, for a little bit of what's going on. I'm fine with the opening scene, Antarctica, Superman's getting healed. And I sort of had in my head, and this is a little based on Dark Knight Returns comic and based on the All Star Superman, which is a great story. I had a picture of, like, say, Lex Luthor being interviewed on national TV. So sort of cut this in with Superman being healed and fighting the Hammer of Bavaria. And I have sort of Lex Luthor sitting there explaining why Superman's a threat to humans, Earth, in this interview, while at the same time in his head he's mentally giving out those commands to the Hammer of Bavaria. I'm sorry, what's the Hammer of again?
Bavaria. Hammer of
Bavaria. It's
Bavaria.
not Bavaria, is it?
I'm pretty sure it's Bavaria.
I think we keep saying that. I think it's not. Anyway, so in All Star Superman, Luthor is in prison and he is mentally commanding a astronaut that was man made in space. And I sort of thought that was a really cool way of showing how powerful and smart
Boravia.
Luthor, Bravaria, yeah,
B-O Boravia. Boravia.
Bavaria. But
Boravia.
I'm gonna let you do the pronunciations.
Boravia.
Great. So I thought that would have been better to show to give you the backstory, to give you his motivation. At the same time, he's so smart. He's giving this interview and fighting Superman at the same time. And I liked that interaction from All Star Comics, and I thought it would have been really ingenious to do that in the fight scene. So you save the tech team that's executing the commands in a lab, but you just have him saying it and you see the fight happening. And then when Luthor is done with the interview and the fight's over, you see him walk into that tech center with all those people who had just executed the fight. Like I thought that would have been a more efficient way of showing more of the character and getting more
I
of the
mean,
backstory in there. That's just my thought based
but
off of what it's.
I will say we do also get that interview scene later on after Luthor breaks into the Fortress of Solitude. He gets the video that is sent with Superman to Earth that was damaged in transport and fully decodes it and reveals that Superman's parents actually planned for him to rule the Earth. And he goes onto a pseudo Fox News and broadcasts the video there, which is pretty much exactly what you are describing. And that's after Superman's done fighting the kaiju as well, which is also when we get introduced to the Justice Gang.
Yeah,
Like, we do get that kind of scene that more shows exactly what Luthor's kind of thinking. And we have the scene where he's meeting with Rick Flag's dad and a couple of other higher ups in the government in the Pentagon, where we kind of see that hatred on much more open display as he's trying to convince him, as he's trying to convince them to let his group, which is made up of Ultraman, the engineer, and a bunch of random people in mech suits, be kind of a private military corporation.
yeah, but to me, it's a better intro. It shows more of Luthor's powers and intellect to do what I sort of described, doing two things at once. And I thought that having the video leak and not having Luthor leak it, because even those that staff you met in the Pentagon said, "Did Luthor create this?" Where if the video just would have been linked and they could have had their experts approve it, it would have proven Luthor's point without him being there. It would have been more effective. And let's first start off, like, I don't think we talked about the movie. I like the movie. It's a lot of fun. It's a great movie. I think it could be more efficient and stronger if some things were trimmed or combined.
I love the movie. I think the only thing I am iffy on is the reveal of Kal-El's parents kind of being villains. I'm not really sure how I feel about that.
Yeah, yeah, that I agree with
Um,
you that, like, yeah, I don't know that was surprising, and and once it's done, I mean, obviously, Clark's Superman is struggling with finding out that
Yeah,
his um his birth parents
yeah.
wanted him to rule the earth, and then it just sort of flips. The way he deals with that is he focuses on his adoptive parents at the very
Well,
end.
we get this scene where he is at the farm after he gets rest. Because, so, quick synopsis of the movie's plot because we are kind of bouncing around within it. Start of the movie, Superman fights the Hammer of Baravia, who is later revealed to be Ultraman.
Well, let's
Um,
hold on. I'm
I'm
gonna
not
interrupt
getting
you.
into the Ultraman
No,
stuff
no, 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 I'm not. But what happens is there is a war between two countries. Superman intercedes on the country that is less uh
that
that
has
seems to
US
be more
military backing.
well, yes, it doesn't seem to have a strong military. It seems to be more regular people, farmers, agriculture, and they don't have a strong army. So Superman intercedes on their behalf and stops the war, and that creates questions like should he be able to do this? Is he doing it for America? What is the reaction? And then the country that he stopped apparently has a superhero, which he begins to fight in the opening. So I think that is the proper background for that.
Yeah. And then, so movie starts, he gets knocked into Antarctica, calls Crypto. Crypto brings him to the Fortress of Solitude where he gets healed. He goes back out, fights again, loses again. Then after that, he kind of goes back to the Daily Planet. Then there's the scene that's in all of the trailers with him and Lois having an interview. At the same time as that's
Great
all
scene,
going
by the way.
on, yeah, Luthor meets with several government officials in the Pentagon, and while some of them are concerned, they overall shoot down Luthor's private military to take down Superman. And so Luthor, who had the engineer scouting Antarctica to find where the Fortress of Solitude is, takes the engineer, Ultraman, and himself to the fortress, where the engineer winds up decoding the video and finding the damaged portion of it and reconstructing it. And at the same time as they're in the fortress, a kaiju gets released into Metropolis,
By
who
Luthor.
Superman fights, yeah, by Luthor. And the Justice Gang gets involved, which is Hal Jordan, Hawkgirl, and Mr.
Not Hal
Terrific,
Jordan,
Guy Gardner, and
Hawkgirl, and Mr. Terrific.
Yeah, I already listed them. And Mr. Terrific winds up blowing up the stomach of the kaiju.
Right, where
Um,
Superman's trying to. Well, we'll get
yeah.
to that later. So they
The
take
group
down
is
the
also
kaiju.
sponsored by Maxwell Lord, and after they take down the kaiju, the video gets revealed by Lex Luthor. There's a mini confrontation between the Justice Gang and Superman. Superman realizes that to get the video, Luthor would have had to be in the fortress, flies over to LexCorp headquarters, freaks out a little
No, no,
bit.
he flies to the Fortress of Solitude.
He flies to Fortress of Solitude, realizes Crypto's missing, sees the destruction, then flies to LexCorp, freaks out at Luthor, which his girlfriend Luthor's girlfriend records and releases, further pushing the narrative. And then we get Superman at home. Lois kind of comforts him a little bit, and then he decides to turn himself into the U.S. military. uh, and we get it's revealed a little earlier that Luthor and the president of Baravia know each other, and that Luthor has some kind of portal system set up. And it is then revealed that he has created a pocket dimension where he has a prison that he is renting out to foreign governments, along with where he puts people who he doesn't like, including an ex-girlfriend and someone who wrote a mean blog about him. That's also where we get introduced to Metamorpho, because it's revealed in the war room scene that There's no kryptonite left on Earth. Specifically, they mention left. They don't say there's no kryptonite on Earth. They say there's no kryptonite left. And so Metamorpho, is it? They have his kid hostage.
Yeah,
A couple
there's
of
a lot of
things.
backstory missing
Yeah,
there.
a couple of things happen in the universe prison. Mr. Terrific and Lois Lane team up to break out Superman and Metamorpho. They all break out. Um, and Lex Luthor, pissed because Superman broke out, forces open the portal which collapsed in on itself, and in doing so starts to kind of split the Earth in half. Um, and then Lois brings Superman to his parents, where they kind of have a conversation, and then Baravia begins to invade the other country again, and so Superman's kind of split between the two things. Superman winds up going to Metropolis, but sends Guy, Metamorpho, and Hot Girl to deal with Baravia. Uh, More fighting that we'll get into later, but that's pretty much like the main set of stuff that happens.
Well, Superman saves the day. I mean,
Yeah,
that's in
Superman
there.
saves the day, but
The
like
Justice Gang stops the invasion,
yeah,
and Luthor gets revealed by his girlfriend and Lois Lane in the Daily Planet, uh,
yeah,
being behind the whole thing as a way to take Superman down. And there's a interesting speech about humanity, and yeah, there are a lot of things in there. There's a lot. It's a lot to digest.
yeah,
Um, I think one of the things that if you think about it, Luthor has to take Superman. Luthor can't just beat Superman because there's several areas where it looks like he can just beat him or get rid of him. He has to sort of humiliate him and not make him a hero or a martyr to the people. He has to like make him the bad guy and then get rid of him.
well, yeah, that's Hulu. I mean, that's kind of always been who Luthor is. Luthor would never just shoot Superman with a kryptonite bullet.
Well,
Like,
he could have like just had a some kind of portal up somewhere that just dropped Superman in a pocket universe and just closed it and went, "You're done. I'm not going to open this shit up again. You're stuck in a pocket universe."
well, I
So
mean,
he could have just done that.
but he needed a justification to capture Superman. And that's specifically why he goes to the government. He says, I have a way to deal with Superman. He manufactures consent by finding that video that Superman didn't see the other half of, frames Superman as this
An
secret
invader.
villain, and then the government agrees to let Luthor capture and question because
See, but that's my
that's
point.
why he doesn't kill him
He,
immediately because the government is specifically saying we need to question him.
but he didn't need to do any of that. Like, if he, no one knows he has a pocket universe A until he tells them, so he could have just got rid of Superman. But that wouldn't have been enough. It would have been a martyr. He still would have been beloved. He needs to tarnish him and somehow be seen as more important and better than.
Yeah,
That's his flaw. Because he's smart enough to get rid of him. Like he
yeah,
can just get rid of him, but that's not enough for him. That's the same reason he's like locking up girlfriends and people who talk badly about him. He cannot be anything but the best.
yeah.
And yeah, so it's an interesting, he's his own worst enemy.
I mean that's yeah, but like what I'm saying is that's always been Luthor. Like Luthor
In the
has
better
always
versions, in the
been
better
an
versions.
egotistical bastard.
Yeah, but yeah, so let's talk about the stuff we really liked. How about that?
Yeah, yeah.
I know there's a scene
Um,
you really liked.
they did Mr. Terrific so much justice in this movie. I will say, if you are a fan of Mr. Terrific in the comics, if you are a fan of the more cold and calculated version, that's not really what we get here. He is still incredibly intelligent, but he has more of a dry humor to him. And he also does snap a couple of times. Like he
Yeah, he
does
shows a
kind of
lot more
shout at people a
emotion.
couple of
Yeah.
times.
Yeah,
And
you'd be surprised.
I think it works. I think it works well within the movie, but I will say that's not really the Mr. Terrific that if you're a fan of him, you know. So I would say that's kind of a 50-50 point where it's like I like the character. It's not 100% Mr. Terrific, but no comic book movie has characters 100% to who they were.
The one thing I did find a little odd because in the comic books he's pretty wealthy. He's pretty like I think he runs like some Mr. Terrific like industry or tech kind of thing. And in this one, it's not. They don't talk about his backstory. They don't talk about if he has any of that. But he does make a couple comments about how expensive things are when they get destroyed, which seemed a little weird. Like I would expect, like, hey, you know what?
Well,
Well, I mean, the stuff that got he blew up stuff in the kaiju that was similar to what he got destroyed later by crypto. Crypto
well,
destroys some of his
I
tech.
feel like that's kind of a difference between something he planned to do and like a dog biting into, because also that was on a mission and he's kind of going by himself for this.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, in the comics, he's wealthy. That would never have bothered him. As
Well,
and I was like, you know, is he not
I
wealthy
think
in
this
this
is
version? It's weird.
Well, I think it's early days of Heroes is what it kind of looks like because this is like the first public-facing superhero team, it looks like. Like
It's
the
implied. It's
way
implied.
people are talking about the Justice Gang, the fact that we're seeing the Hall of Justice actively being built, it is very heavily implied. Public-facing superheroes are still a very recent thing in this version of the DC universe.
Well,
Superman's
that
only
doesn't
been
have any,
around for three
but that doesn't
years.
have anything to do with Mr. Terrific being rich or not. I mean, I'm just saying that's a difference I noticed that was a little strange. So yeah,
Yeah.
you can go on about the other stuff, but that doesn't have anything to do with, he theoretically he's rich and becomes a hero after he's set up and rich and done all this stuff. So it'll be interesting to see if they do any backstory on why he's a hero.
Yeah. Um, I
They don't cover a
do,
lot. Like they definitely they hint at Guy Gardner being a Green Lantern, given the ring from
well,
Aliens. That's what
yeah.
they hint at. Hawkgirl, no backstory. We have no idea if she's because in the
Which
comic it's Thangarian, from another
uh
planet,
it
right?
depends. In some she's
Yeah.
Fanagarian, in others it's like a descendant curse where she and Hawkman
Are
are like
Egyptian.
forever
Yeah.
entwined Egyptian lovers who are constantly reincarnated.
Yeah, that one. Let's
Um,
hope they don't do that. That's really convoluted.
yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I
Um,
don't know how they're going to cover Hawkgirl. They don't. They actually don't even
well,
cover
but
how her wings go on or off, which is kind of interesting. That they, yeah. So
this was very much a Superman movie and introducing us to stuff.
no, I don't have
And
a
it
problem with
does
it.
its
I'm just
job
saying.
well in that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because,
Um.
like, another example is the engineer. We know next to nothing about her, but what we do see is she has, like, nanomachines in her blood, is what Luthor says. And that's what Luthor says in a government meeting.
Yeah.
But during the scene where they invade the Fortress of Solitude, Crypto bites a chunk out of her face, and it's just nanomachines.
Yeah.
And we see another clip in that invasion scene where her head flips completely. She like goes into a handstand and then her head's back on top,
Yeah. So
which
she's definitely.
makes me think she's 100% nanomachines,
Yeah, I
except
would agree
maybe
with
a
that.
heart.
And
And
they
we also
give.
see she has like a burning hatred for not just Superman, but it looks like metahumans as a whole. Because
Yeah.
there's a scene where she's talking with Luthor and she mentions something about dealing with metahumans in general and not just Superman,
Right.
which makes me really interested in what's going on with her.
Yeah, the engineer that I'm familiar with from the comics is a little bit more enlightened and full of information. Uh, so that's an interesting divergent point because she can access all this information. So when she goes in the Fortress of Solitude to get that video that you talked about, she should be able to access all the other parts of
Well,
the
she does,
history.
because we see
But that
her.
should have an effect. It doesn't seem to change her. All metahumans, including Superman, must be destroyed. So that was, it's interesting. We get the impression Luthor helped create her. So my thought is there's stuff in
Yeah,
there
there
that
is
Luthor
a.
is implanted to say, no matter what, metahuman's bad. Like, because the
Because, yeah,
engineer
there
in the
is that,
comics
like,
is much more enlightened.
dynamic between Engineer and Luthor. Because at one point, Superman's fighting Engineer and Ultraman, and he flies up into space because Engineer's like flooding his lungs with nanomachines. And the only person Luthor is like worried about is Engineer
Which doesn't make a whole
during
lot of
that.
sense, by the way. Because you
Well,
talked just a minute ago about her being all nanobites, right? Or nano, or the machines.
well, yes, but we do hear one of the texts mention that she has a heartbeat. So I'm pretty sure Luthor hadn't stress tested her against a drop from space.
I don't think you'd care.
Well, that's the thing. We don't know. We
But
don't know.
Luthor doesn't seem to care about anybody. He locks up, people on the pettiest slight. Um, so
Well, yeah,
I
but
don't think
those
that
are,
mattered. So that is to me that's like a story error.
I mean, I don't think so because Luthor locks up anyone who goes against him. But everything we see in the movie is the engineer being Luthor's right hand. We see that throughout. She's the one
I
he
don't think
chooses to go to Antarctica alone. She's the one who is able to talk back to him, but he doesn't get incredibly angry with. She says, like, let me go. I can drill to there. I can find the fortress myself. We don't have to bring it up. But Luthor doesn't really get mad, but he calls her back.
I disagree. I don't think he cares. I think she's a weapon. I don't get that.
I
I
don't
actually
think
don't
he
get that
cares
scene.
cares.
But
I
what you're talking about, I don't get why she can't keep going up in space. Like I don't understand that. And then when she does, eventually it's Ultraman, Superman, and the engineer. Superman sort of protected by the nanobites. They're all around him. So when he crashes to the Earth, he sort of has a shield,
there's not
which
the nanobites are like on his skin. That's not a shield.
they're
And they're
all over
like
him. You can't even
actively
see him.
being that's not a shield.
Why not?
Like that is not enough protection. Like, because those are tiny little robots.
Well,
There's a lot of them, but they're still tiny little robots and he just slams into the floor,
into the ground and goes
into the
through to the
ground.
sewer and stuff. But then
Subway.
I don't understand why she's knocked out.
Once again, it's
Unless the
probably stuff
nanobites
that we
have
don't know yet.
well, they should it should make a little sense. Like I'm assuming because they're in outer space and there's sort of like frost or condensation forming that the nanobites freeze. And at that point all systems would shut down is my thought. That's the only thing that sort of makes sense. And then when she crashes, she's out. She doesn't reappear again, right?
Yeah, it's they say she has a heartbeat, but she's unconscious. One of the
Yeah.
texts specifically states that.
Yeah, so that part to me is a little confusing. Um, but we were going to talk about, I thought we were going to talk about one of the scenes you really liked with Mr. Terrific,
Yeah, so when Mr. Terrific and
Lois.
Lois are going to rescue Superman from the interdimensional prison, they get to this decommissioned military base that's like a bunch of tents, and Superman, part of the military group that Luthor proposed to the government, is a bunch of people in these mech suits, kind of. They're
Like,
like
yeah, like Lex Luthor suits,
like
variants.
if
Yeah.
you're familiar with Invincible, they kind of look like tech jackets almost.
I thought they're, okay. Yeah,
Like
you're right.
I'm saying that
Yeah, I got it.
kind
Yeah,
of
yeah.
like
Not
armor
a
look.
tech jacket, but armored. Yeah, got it.
Yeah, yeah. And so there's this really cool scene where Mr. Terrific creates like a bubble around Lois and just has this really cool fight scene where
But
he's
let's talk about
using
before you jump
the
in.
T-balls,
Yeah, he has T spheres,
T-spheres,
not circles.
T-spheres, not
he,
so.
not circles. So yeah, Mr. Terrific is a seems a world class athlete, skilled
World-class
in
athlete,
fighting,
super intelligent.
but he has these T
Uh,
spheres which fly around, which can do a lot of stuff, and he sort of has command over them.
yeah,
So the first thing he does is shield Lois, and then he fights the
yeah, and we see them
Luthor
kind
armored
of
guys.
work like tasers because he like slams them into people and it shocks them.
Yeah, he does that cool thing where he like lines them up like cards and shoots them out of his hand. Like he does a lot of cool stuff with the T
Yeah,
spheres. Yeah, it's pretty impressive actually.
yeah. The visuals in the movie are really good. Like a lot of the effects are utilized really well. Green Lantern's constructs all look really good. Like the
Yeah,
glow from them look really good. Hot Girl's wings, even though we don't see them a ton, they don't really,
they don't distract.
yeah,
They
they
definitely
don't
don't distract.
distract.
Yeah,
And
and she yeah
Metamorpho looks great. Like the effects they
yeah
use for Metamorpho, the way they make his body change all work really well.
yeah. Well, for you, I guess is that one of your favorite scenes, the Mr. Terrific fight scene with the armored Luthor goons?
Kind of, yeah, but I
Yeah.
wouldn't say favorite. I wouldn't say favorite.
I do have to say the interview scene, which was in the trailer between Lois and Clark, that was one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah. I
Really
mean
well written.
that's both of them getting to flex their chops as actors to the fullest.
Well, I think it also tells you about the two characters and how they may be a couple, but they see things differently and approach things differently. And I
Yeah.
think that's and they do it while also, you know, it's an interesting dynamic. They also interweave this conflict of ideology with being a couple. Anybody who's a couple has fought, is gone in and said like, oh, but that's you can't do that, and like that's not
Yeah.
fair. You're being mean now, and it's an interesting. It's well written. It's a very well written dialogue.
Um Also when it comes to that scene, Superman, the actor does a great job of switching between Clark Kent and Superman in the way he talks.
Yep.
Like that is done really well as just the way he talks, his dialect, like his vocalization very clearly changes and it's done really well.
I will agree with one critique I've heard of the movie is that there's not enough Clark Kent in the movie. Um, I do think people overlook the scene at the farm with his adoptive parents because I think he's Clark there. It's
Yeah,
not a big
that's
scene, but I do think they neglect that and focus more on his reporter Clark Kent persona, which is a little bit more clumsy and buffoonish, in a good way. It's not a bad way.
yeah. Well,
And
I mean, one of the
but I could
things
use a little bit more
is,
Clark. I think either the one from the farm or the one reporter, I could have used a little bit more, but because the scenes he does do that, he's really good.
yeah, I do feel like part of that is it's he switches. Even when he's in the Superman costume, there are moments of him being Clark, like when he first finishes recovering from healing and he sees the damage Crypto did to the Fortress of Solitude. Like I'd say that is very much Clark coming out and kind of being like, ah, geez, man.
Yeah,
Like,
there are a couple things where it seems like he's a little too Boy Scouty. I know he's a Boy Scout. I get it. I understand. But I think he could have pulled back a little bit on that, just a
I
bit.
feel like a bit of it is Farm Boy more than Boy Scout.
Well, I think he says, "Oh gosh," and then the punk thing is weird, like where he talks about being a punk. He's in the punk. I thought that was
I mean, I thought that was kind of funny. I thought that was
it's
a
kind of
pretty
funny.
funny thing.
I get the feeling that sort of. somebody's told that to James Gunn at some point was my impression, and he wanted to put that in the movie because
Yeah.
you're like, that's not punk, this is punk, and like, so it was funny, and they do reference it again on the farm, which I liked, the poster on the wall,
Yeah.
um, and we haven't even talked about the music because if it's a James Gunn movie, you got to talk about the music.
Well, I mean, you said that you didn't really clock the music that
I did
much.
not, which I think is a good thing. I mean, I think
Yeah.
that means it's well done. If I mean the theme,
The
the riff off the original Superman theme,
yeah.
great. You get the all the soaring and uplifting notes, and it's really well done. And I thought it was a great score. I think the songs they put in were really good. The only time I noticed the songs a lot were when they go to that Luthor base on the beach with the tents because they have this weird like soft 50s music playing every time they get to the beach before you get to the portal. Remember that?
Yeah, it's like the music the scientists are listening
Right,
to.
right. That was the only time I noticed it, but there is more music and it's really well done. But the only time it stood out as I noticed it going, hey, I can hear that is at that beach. So
Yeah,
I think the
because it
music's well
plays
done.
like, because during the Mr. Terrific fight scene, like the music becomes louder, kind of,
Yeah, it's sort of,
because of the bubble, I think.
I think it's sort of to show the difference and dichotomy of what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The movie definitely does a great job of balancing emotional moments. Um, like it is most definitely a funny movie, but there are definitely very serious, emotional stingers. Like, when Superman loses against the Hammer of Baravia for the second time, because he gets knocked into the Arctic, he comes back, and then he loses again. There is the owner of a falafel shop who helps Superman up, and Luthor kind of scans his face and puts it into a database. And later, when Superman is in the multiversal prison, Luthor actually kidnaps that guy, brings him in, and executes him in front of Superman as he's interrogating him. And that kind of serves as Metamorpho's moment to um help, like, because Metamorpho was originally like, they've got my kid hostage, I can't
Yeah,
do
we didn't
anything.
talk about the importance of Metamorpho in the Pocket Universe. He's only there because
I
Metamorpho
did,
is a
I
bit.
brought that up.
You did bring they could make kryptonite?
Yeah, because
Okay,
I
sorry.
mentioned earlier when I was going through the whole plot synopsis, I said the government and like the members of the government that Luthor meets with specifically state there's no more kryptonite left on Earth.
Right,
And
so
Luthor mentions he has a way to deal with that.
and Metamorpho can make any element
Yeah,
on Earth or off Earth, and he makes his hand
yeah.
kryptonite to
So
keep Superman weak.
yeah,
Yeah. So that's an interesting thing that I did not think about. So you just mentioned it again, was when they talk about all the things Luthor has done. Because in this pocket universe, there are many cells with people in them.
yeah.
They don't talk about the fact that he's kidnapped like hundreds, say 100 people at least, and put them in a pocket universe. It doesn't come
They
up,
that is part of the expose is the pocket dimension,
but it doesn't
because we
talk about him
see,
kidnapping and putting people in his own prison.
well, we see all of the people who were in the cell rescued at the end of the movie, so we can assume
Well,
that,
we're assuming. That's what
hey,
I'm
I got
saying.
kidnapped by a rich billionaire who's now being sent to Belgrave. I'm
Bellerive.
gonna Belrive. I'm gonna
But yeah,
say some shit about that.
but like when they're so Luthor gets taken down, but that's what I'm saying. They don't mention it as including that, like in their kidnapping people, killing
No, we
people.
do.
Like
He does. They do in the
I
expose.
don't think they
They
do.
do mention the pocket dimension prison.
But
They mention the pocket dimension prison. They
but they don't.
mention
All right.
him being the cause of the Baravian War, and they mention, like, obviously it's saying Luthor a traitor, but they do mention the multiversal prison.
Yeah, but I think him filling it with people he kidnapped is anyway. In my opinion, they should have included that too. But it's not a big point. Nobody really cares. I didn't even think about it till now, to be honest. Um, so
Da, da, da. Um, I do think introducing Maxwell Lord so early is a very interesting. I mentioned this to you several times, but I do think introducing Maxwell Lord right at the start and having him bankroll the Justice Gang is very interesting
uh,
because for anybody unfamiliar with DC Comics like Mythos, um, Ted Kord, the original Blue Beetle, is not Ted Kord's not the original Blue Beetle, but he is the Blue Beetle before Jaime Reyes. Was there
well, I
one
think
before him?
you gotta back up. Maxwell Lord is has power to make people. He has like mental power that can make
I
people do
don't.
what he wants. He can
Yeah, that's
push
right.
them
That's right.
mentally.
Maxwell
And
Lord can.
he in the comic book forms a Justice League, and you're not sure quite why a
I
billionaire
think.
is forming it.
I think Checkmate is what he
No,
forms.
no, he forms Justice League. He forms the first Justice League International before they're Justice League International. He
That's right.
bankrolls
Yeah.
them because the
Yep.
UN no longer supports the Justice League in this timeline.
Yeah. Which
And
eventually turns into Justice League International. Yeah.
and he is, there's a whole thing with a robot. I can't remember if he's like, he's trying to save himself from something. I can't remember if it's a robot entity or whatever. But he doesn't have good intentions, and
Yeah.
eventually he's trying to take down superheroes. He can control them. He controls Superman for a while, and he's killed. He's brought back. So he's a character that comes up, doesn't always have the best intentions in comics. So
Yeah.
you're curious, what are his intentions in this world?
Yeah.
Given the engineer and the other stories, it could be nothing, could be a red herring, or it could be future plot points. It's unclear.
Because Maxwell Lord's most famous moment in comics is the killing of Ted Kord, and which is the first domino that leads to the Infinite Crisis event.
Which we're not going to talk about.
Yeah, that's a whole
That's
other can of worms.
convoluted on a
But
different level.
that is, I think it is interesting to bring up a character like Maxwell Lord, who is this very influential figure, especially when it comes to the mythos of DC Comics. I think it's interesting to introduce him this early.
Eh, I don't know. I don't know. Is he? I believe though he is in the preview for Peacemaker with Guy Gardner and Hawkgirl.
I believe so, yeah.
So that's going to be interesting. And also
Well, but that's
Peacemaker does
because
make a cameo.
yeah, he is a pundit on Fox News who gets called in after
Pseudo Fox News.
pseudo Fox News after the video gets leaked of Superman, they show like a bunch of different news stations picking up on the story, and they show Peacemaker talking about him.
So,
Um, Hot Girl does kill the president of Baravia, which I think is a good choice because
well, he
Hawk,
might have
because
survived the fall. They don't show him
she
flattened.
drops him while flying over the country. He is dead.
I gotta
Like,
tell you, he looked goofy. Like he could have done something with the hair. It's like it was weird.
that's the point. His hair is that was very much intentional. I'm gonna say that.
I
That was
hope so.
very
I
much
hope that was
intentional.
intentional. Uh,
Um, but and I think that was a very good choice to show Hawk Girl is one of the DC heroes who doesn't have a no-kill rule, who is very much okay with killing
well,
people
so is Mr. Terrific. He
because,
kills the giant kaiju.
well, there is a I know what you mean, but when it comes to DC especially, where Batman's blowing up parademons all the damn time,
That was in a different universe, which we're not bringing up.
no kill rules have very different limits and stuff. And so
And
Hot Girl directly killing a political figure is, I think, a very good choice to define her character early.
Right, but the main scene about the kill no kill rule is Superman trying to save the kaiju and Mr.
Yeah,
Terrific killing it. That's very clear there that Superman's like every life is precious. And
yeah.
Mr. Terrific's like and Guy Gardner are like, come on, Boy Scout, it's a fucking kaiju. Let's just, move on.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that
Superman does bring up killing it, but he says like we could have euthanized it in a less violent way if necessary. Like
yeah, but
he
he's
does
actively trying
state
to save it.
killing it could have still been on the table, but you didn't need to do it like this, especially after causing so much property damage. Because while the Justice Gang is actively fighting the kaiju, Superman is more busy rushing around not
Minimizing
negating, but
property damage.
minimizing the damage that's being done.
Can we also talk about nobody talks about the kaiju starts off as a little crate like a gremlin and then just like
Yeah.
friggin' grows to the size of a skyscraper? We just gloss over that. Like
No,
I would
one
have
of
been
the guys does
if I was
say,
Guy Gardner, I'd be like the thing could have kept growing. Like, come on.
well,
In a day it grew from, you know, small dog size to skyscraper. Let's not let it grow any bigger.
well, Superman says we could either bring it somewhere for study or, if necessary, like he is
He says an
saying,
intergalactic zoo, which made me immediately go, I want to know where there's an intergalactic zoo, Superman. Like, why are you
well,
bringing that up?
jumping to the very end of the
Oh, I knew
movie,
you were going to do that when I brought that up.
Supergirl. We see Supergirl appear at the very end of the movie, and she is Crypto's owner. And that recontextualizes a couple of scenes with Crypto because he, obviously, from the trailers and
He's
from
very
those
wild and
sneak peeks, he's a
uncontrollable
very
dog, and
uncontrollable
Superman can't
dog.
control him.
And so at the end, it's revealed, oh, it's not his dog, it's Kara's. And so Kara, one of the two. But
Kara. Yeah, that's right.
with Supergirl being an already existing presence, at least in Superman's life, if not in public life, because they do mention she parties on planets with red suns.
Because that's the only way they can
Um,
get intoxicated.
yeah. And so there could, because that implies that if Superman hasn't gone off world, he's at least aware there are other cultures off world. Also, Guy Gardner and the Green Lantern Corps are very blatantly referenced. He mentions the oath, he mentions the core.
Vow, the
Like
vow,
he says oath. He
vow.
does say oath.
I'm going with vow because Hawk Girl goes every time he doesn't want to do something. He says it's against the vow. I'm going with vow.
Like we don't directly get him reciting it, but we
Oh,
do
thank
get
God.
mentions of
I would have been like, oh, you can't do that. No. So,
but
what about the parents, the adoptive parents, mom
oh,
and
they
Pa
do a
Kent?
great job. Mom, Pa,
They
Kent, their
are.
actors do great. They don't show
I
up a
like,
ton.
but I like. There's a scene where they're talking to Clark on the phone, and they're like normal people. Like generally in past Superman movies, they're these salt of the earth, great, always doing morally the right thing, always right on. They seem perfect in past iterations. And in this one, they're like, we're good people trying to do good things, but like they're having trouble with the technology. They openly get upset when something bad happens to Clark. They're more human. They're more well-rounded characters to me. Because
Also,
like
in this one, Pa Kent doesn't say, "Let the children on the school bus die."
that is all right. You're
God,
jumping to the worst scene and the worst one. There's lots of great interpretations of the Kents, but they're too perfect. Like they set this standard where in this one they do their best to bring him up. My favorite is um, Clark is still reeling from finding out his parents wanted him to take over the planet, and he talks about the role of a parent is not to tell you what to do; it's to give you the tools that we think are best and to
to
let you make
screw
the
up.
decisions. Yeah, and let you screw up. Like
Yeah.
so, I thought that was a great scene, and it's to being a parent. It's very true. We don't want to. I don't want you to tell you what to do. I just want you to have tools so you can do what you think is right. And you'll fuck
Um,
up. So,
yeah. I have been beating around it a little bit, but let's talk about Ultraman.
what about Ultraman?
So, well,
I
first
don't know
off,
anything. Ultraman's not a factor at all.
here's the thing. So,
it,
both
it
of us were like, there's no way this is Ultraman. There is no way this is Earth
well,
3 Crime Syndicate
well,
Ultraman. They
here,
wouldn't do it that early.
it, if you know anything about comics, you know immediately what's happening. In my take, the Hammer of Bavaria at the
Baravia.
Baravia at the very beginning is fighting Superman in Metropolis and uses heat vision. And as soon
I
as
don't
that happens,
think so. I don't
I
think he uses heat
guarantee he
vision.
uses heat vision on the building.
He
Guarantee it.
might have used
You
heat vision on the
guarantee it.
building.
And right there, you know that, oh, that must be Ultraman, which then you see when he goes back, the Hammer of
Yeah, when he goes
Bavaria,
back through the portal, he takes the
he
armor
takes
off,
it
and
off
it's
and it is
revealed to be Ultraman.
Ultraman.
I do like the Ultraman suit, I will say. It
Ugh,
at first it gave me a little bit of Black Noir vibes, but seeing it
yeah,
like on a big screen, it has a lot more color to it
it's got a
actually.
lot
There's
more
a lot of
purple in
like
it.
purples in it, and I think it works pretty well.
Right.
He also doesn't talk at all, which we
Yeah.
see later on, but because you also thought um Brainiac was gonna be in this because of that leaked image of Superman putting his boots on.
Yeah, they also show that scene where Lois and him are kissing and not going to do the fight thing. So, like you see the alien in the back, and he's not actively joining the fray,
Yeah.
and it's revealed that it is Mixoplex,
I
or an
don't think
imp.
it was I think it was just an interdimensional imp. I don't think they specifically name dropped Mixoplick.
No, yeah, they do say imp, but it's implied. I think
Yeah.
that's what's happening.
And it's pretty funny because in the background you see like guy making a giant baseball bat and hitting this thing over the head with it. Um, but yeah, so um, but Ultraman, Engineer, and
Well,
Luthor.
yeah, they end up going to Antarctica because after he's beaten in this first battle, Engineer tracks him to Antarctica.
Yeah, I
Uh,
did say that as well. Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
well, I'm just recapping. Give me a
I
minute.
know.
And the fortress disappears before she can get into it. As soon as Luthor appears in Antarctica, he's got Ultraman, he's got Engineer. The
And
engineer
his
goes, "How are you going
girlfriend,
to get?" And his girlfriend, which is Eve,
Eve.
and
Yeah,
he goes, and she goes, "Well, how are you going to get this to show? It's under the ice." And as soon as he walks off, he walks a few feet with his entourage, and the fortress goes ahead and it appears. And she looks at him and goes, "How did you do that?" And right there, we know it's all keyed in to Kryptonian. We assume because Crypto can open it, Superman can
yeah,
open it. It's all keyed into Kryptonian voice and DNA. So right there, I immediately thought, well, Ultraman must be a clone or Bizarro, which is the flawed clone in the comics.
yeah.
And lo and behold,
It
Luthor
was a
made a Superman
Bizarro. Yep.
clone, just a clone.
Eh, Well, yeah. And
Yeah,
it's interesting because he says it's flawed, it can't speak, it's not intelligent, but that doesn't matter because I'm controlling it, which leads me to why I think Ultraman works as the name because
yeah,
during the final fight between Superman and Ultraman, Luthor's kind of chastising Superman. He's talking down to him, and he says like brain beats brawn, even though he mentions the clone is genetically stronger, I think. But not
yes,
intelligent. He says, my brains will always beat you. And so once again, it's a sign of Luthor's ego. Even though he admits the clone he created is flawed, he still he doesn't want it to be better than him, but better than Superman, but he calls it superior. He calls it Ultraman. He like puts it above because his brain is behind it. He
well,
still
he's pretty much saying, if I had your powers, I'd beat you, because like
yeah,
he literally has his powers, and
yeah.
it's interesting. He needs the whole staff of people running the controls to control Ultraman, which is not very clear. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how they're controlling Ultraman's punches in that. There are
I don't think they'll
sort of little
control.
drones to. Well, he's saying,
Well, the drones are to capture the video, and I think
but
each of
when
the
he's saying the
scenes has
moves,
like
they're
different
typing. Yeah,
moves
I don't
on
know.
them. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. It might have just been a way to visualize
Right.
that all of these moves are kind of pre-programmed in.
Yeah. And
I'm not 100% sure.
and we have to talk about this. There is a whole Superman doesn't appear to be all powerful in this movie, right? He gets beat up a
Yeah,
lot. He's not all powerful. But twice at the end and in the Pocket Universe, he escapes a black hole.
yeah.
That is problematic for me, and especially when he escaped it with super breath.
I mean, once again, he was
That is
actively being helped by Metamorpho and by Crypto
no, he's
during
helping
that.
Crypto. Crypto's flying by and he grabs his paw. I just think here's a thing that we also disagree about. They're in the Pocket Universe scene. They are rescued, Metamorphose, Crypto, and Superman from by Mr. Terrific and Lois Lane,
Yeah,
keeping the finding them and keeping the portal open.
yeah.
There's this extended scene where they're in a what's the river called? The weird
It was
river.
like positive atoms or something like that.
There's a weird river that you shouldn't be in that probably would kill
Yeah,
most people. And Superman's in it, and he's fighting all the armored goons, the Luthor goons, holding Metamorpho's baby and trying to get to out of the Pocket Universe. Totally unnecessary. Totally to me adds more questions. He escapes a black hole, which he does later. So why have him do it twice? I think you could have cut that. It adds nothing to the story for me.
I feel like it was more tension around Metamorpho's baby, I think was the main thing. Was like that was kind of
I don't understand what you're saying.
increasing because Superman's in the river, but he's like actively holding Metamorpho's baby while he's dealing
Yeah,
with
but
it.
but the only reason Metamorphos torture him and turn him into kryptonite because someone's going to kill his baby across the way in another cell. I think that was enough tension. I'm also a little weird. The reason that Superman is carrying the baby to the portal is Metamorpho says he can't hold the baby when he transforms, which is weird to me. Like transform once and hold the baby then, and don't
Well,
transform
there
till
are
you get out of the
guards.
portal.
We see there are flying
I
guards
don't think
who
I don't
actively
think that was
surround him.
I don't think that was necessary. I think that Superman could have taken him out quick with heat vision. Crypto could have chewed on him. I think
Well,
I'm just saying
Superman's still weakened.
fair.
Superman got a burst of healing from Metamorpho creating the mini sun, but Superman still got multiple hours, maybe even a day or more of kryptonite radiation that he was still recovering from. And we
Right.
see that
When
when
he gets
he
out of the
like
portal.
flies through. Yeah, he like actively his veins are like black from how much kryptonite exposure he's gotten.
So
So
that
he's
right there proves my point that him escaping a black hole holding crypto, a baby, and metamorpho is ridiculous.
well,
You can't deny that now because literally when they take him to the farm after he gets out where he's got his veins showing, he needs a whole day to recover.
here, hmm.
Yeah, you have to admit it. That's and then he escapes a black hole again later. Come
Well,
on,
he does not escape it the second time. He knocks Bizarro into it with the
Ultraman.
bus. Ultraman. He knocks Ultraman into it with the bus, but he doesn't actively escape it. He is still outside of the range where he's actively being pulled into it. He
That
doesn't
is a
escape it
minute
twice.
difference. He is by a black
It is a
hole, and
difference.
he's also dislocated his arm and beaten to a pulp, and he escapes it again.
He doesn't escape it the second time.
It's
He's not
there.
in. Yeah, that's like, okay, if there is a dog outside the house and you walk out of the house, did you escape the dog?
If it's attacking me, I did.
It's not attacking you. It's outside the house.
It's a
There
black
is
hole
a
sucking stuff
distance.
in. It's sucking in a bus that is past him, right?
No,
The bus
the
is past
bus,
Superman. He sees it coming
the
at him.
bus falls because the fissure is continuing to open,
I
and the bus falls.
My point is valid. He should not have been. The black hole
Also,
scene in the
Superman
pocket
like
universe is
chills near
silly.
black holes all the time.
Chills?
Yes,
Where
there
is
have been
that book?
several scenes of
Regardless, I think doing it twice. I think having him when he was in his weakened state in that river doing all that was unnecessary. That's just me. I think it was unnecessary. We see he's done good. He's obviously super heroic throughout most of the movie. We did not need that.
I can see that.
That's it. It's a fun scene, but it's a little ridiculous. It's like, okay.
It's a comic.
Yes,
I get what you're
fair,
saying, but the
fair.
statement "it's a little ridiculous" about a comic book movie
All right.
is
Oh, okay, no. Because you can have bad dialogue in a comic book movie, right? So, and that's ridiculous. I'm just saying, have including that is not necessary, and the movie would have been a little tighter and cleaner.
da. But yeah, Ultraman gets knocked into the black hole, which could potentially set up for him returning as Bizarro if they want to go that route.
And the other thing is, Mr. Terrific is the one who
Terrific.
saves everyone.
Yeah, he does the code and reverses the crack that's forming. Yeah,
Well, I thought that was a nice touch that he's the one who saves them.
yeah.
Because I was wondering, I'm like, how, like he keeps asking for Superman's help. I'm like, how's Superman going to stop a rift in the dimension? Like, and it's just a code thing, which is also a little weird that you punch in a code it can stop an interdimensional rift. But hey,
Well, the rift is forming because the portal continues to stay open. Because
correct.
they state, because when Mr. Terrific first sees the pocket universe, he says, like, this idiot created a pocket universe. Every time he opens it, he's risking tearing a crack in the fabric of reality.
Yep. So overall, what do you think of the movie? Like,
Uh, I loved it. It definitely, um, I would say better than Suicide Squad. I liked Suicide Squad. It had its own serious moments, but it didn't balance it out as well as Superman handled its serious moments. Like the movie itself does a good job with its tone. I think the messages that it puts out, obviously there was the interview where James Gunn specifically said like this is about politics, this is an immigrant story kind of thing. And I can see that. I'm not 100% sure. Obviously, there have been articles and stuff talking about how Superman being an alien, and like being directly, like obviously there's nuance to that, and there are discussions to be had about that. But overall, I think it was a very good movie.
well, I mean, he was created by two Jewish creators during the 30s when fascism was running rampant in Germany. And before anybody out there goes, well, shouldn't politicize these things. You guys are looking at any 30s or 40 covers of comic books? They're fighting
His
the Axis
literal
enemies in half of them.
first
Captain America's got punching Hitler on one. Superman's
when before
riding
America was in the
bombs.
war.
Right. So like there's always
Superman's
politics in
first
comics.
villains were landlords. Superman in his first issue actively confronted a governor about a policy that was going to harm hundreds of people. Like
Right.
they have always been, if not explicitly, there have, well, yes, obviously explicitly, but like there have always been elements of politics within these pieces of
Well,
media.
not only is Superman an immigrant to the country, he's also wish fulfillment. He's wish fulfillment for people who have no power or money, who wish there was a way to make things just. That is very clear. And if you
I
don't
mean,
agree with that, you don't understand Superman.
he's
That's
also
why he was created.
it's also just there is also a degree of just being a good person to
Yes,
him.
to everyone. Like
Yeah.
whether you have money or power or not, you should have some goodness in you, and unfortunately, that's not true of everyone. But you know, I liked the movie a lot. I thought it was fun. I liked the tone. I definitely liked that it wasn't serious and trying to be gritty and like we must do this and that. Like there
Looking
was
at
fun in
you.
it. Um, I think we skipped over Jimmy Olsen a little bit. He's a
Ooh,
fun.
Jimmy was really good,
He
actually. Yeah.
he's not a goof. He's not a sidekick.
Well, he's
He.
kind of a goof. He has like the stuff with Eve where it's like Eve's kind
I
of
don't think he's a goof.
obsessive. Well, he has like the moments where it's like the phone call where she's saying like, "Oh, let's hang out all weekend." And Jimmy kind of goes, "All weekend." Like, I'm not saying that he
I don't
is
think that makes him
to the
goofy. I
degree
think that
of
makes him
goofiness
immature.
that like I'm saying I can see this Jimmy Olsen being kind of a goofball. I cannot see him being like Silver Age Jimmy Olsen or anything like that.
Oh, is that going to turn into a giant turtle? That'd be sad. The only character you sort of there are a couple of characters. The Cat Grant is in here, but they don't do a lot with her. Um, there's also Steve Lombard, who is a sports reporter, and he's just there to be an idiot. He's just
Well,
sort of there
that's kind of what
to
he does in
in the
Superman
comic
comics
books.
as well.
Yeah,
Well, there's
he's
also kind of like the stuff with him with the Superman pin, which is a little bit like Flash Thompson Spider-Man kind
yeah,
of thing.
but he's much more cartoonish in this version. It's fine. I don't have a problem with it. It's just hopefully they develop those characters better in a sequel. But there's too much. Like there's too much to develop everyone.
Yeah.
Um, so we shall see. Do we missed any Easter eggs? I'm sure we missed some
Um,
Easter eggs. I don't.
Most definitely. I'm gonna say, well, there was the I think a white Martian was the one controlling the lift in the
The,
multiversal prison.
that was
There's like
weird.
this
They do
weird
include
white alien that I
right.
think is a white Martian. I think
Uh,
that's a white Martian.
a a I don't know how you're controlling the white Martian or alien in this because it's sort of I think it's shackled to the machine, but I'm not
Yeah, it's
quite sure.
shackled to it.
Two, it's really not the best CGI on that. It's a little soft. I think they could have done something else. The robots are really well done.
The
I think
robots are funny.
yeah, in the thing, Crypto's great. He has some great scenes in it.
Yeah.
Um, I think they do a little clip at the end, an extra scene um, with Superman and Mister Terrific, and I disliked that. I didn't see a need for that at all. I thought that was weird.
I thought it was just a funny bit of because like we don't really see we see Mr. Because based on what we see, Mr. Terrific and Superman are the two with the most rapport between each other. And so
Really?
I do, yeah, because they talk at first with the kaiju. Mr. Terrific's the member of the Justice Gang who is convinced by Lois to go help Superman directly. Um, and Mr. Terrific also directly calls Superman and asks for his help. I would say it is implied that those two are the closest.
But the scene at the end, I just found sort of. I could have done without it. You could have like it didn't add
I
anything.
mean,
It doesn't.
yeah, but
It's
it's
just a
like it's a
clip.
post-credit scene for a reason.
That's
Like,
fair. I just didn't. I didn't
I
care
do
for it.
not think post-credit scenes should be necessary. I think I think the way they did them for this, where they were just fun little clips expanding on the characters' dynamics a little bit, I think
I would
that's what
have
they should be.
I would have preferred to see Mom and Pa Ken again. I gotta tell you that. Like Clark, you didn't clean up or like take out the trash or something in that vein. I would have been happier to see. Um, I did find it interesting now that we're bringing it up that when Mister Terrific goes to save close the rift, there is a character from Lex Luthor's team who has the information and is willing to give it to Mister Terrific, and Mister Terrific says, "I don't need you. I'll figure it out." That was weird.
I Here is my thing with that. So throughout the movie, it's pretty obvious. Lex Luthor, the megalomaniacal multi-billionaire with a massive tech company with all of these people fawning over him very much is a critique of Elon Musk. He's a critique of all billionaires in
I
general, but he most definitely falls under Elon Musk.
I'm gonna disagree with you because Lex Luthor as a character has been around for years and
I
years and years, and I
yes.
think it is a good interpretation of Lex Luthor. You can add on that critique to Elon Musk, but when I watched the movie, it didn't come into my head. It came in that this is Lex Luthor.
Well, I get that, but at the same time, there is a direct line where Lois is talking to Perry, the guy in charge of the Daily
Yeah,
Planet,
yeah, head of
and she
the other planet.
specifically says Luthor's followers believe that he will create a tech utopia for them. And that is exactly the kind of thing Elon Musk has been pitching with terraforming Mars for years. That
Also, he
is
has a isn't he
exactly
developing a
what he's
town in
been
Texas
pitching.
too? He's developing a town in Texas, but
Something like that, yeah.
but
But
but I
like,
dislike
yes,
this analogy. I dislike it because Lex Luthor is an established character and he's rich and he's a megalomaniac and he wants to do and he does want everybody to follow what he says.
okay.
So
Well, I
you
wasn't
can
saying he was just Musk. I was saying he is a critique of billionaires in general, but walking into this movie, you can very clearly see parallels with Elon Musk along with a ton of other very rich people. But that's besides the main point of what I am saying. The people he surrounds himself with in that tower, the one person who does have the code, he gives tiny bits of pushback as this crack
right.
literally splits Metropolis apart, but he shuts down the moment Luthor tells him no. He,
Yeah, because he's
in
gonna end
this
up in a freaking
circle,
pocket dimension.
and the moment someone else with power enters the scene, he tries to suck up to them.
But he was trying to close it anyway. He was fair or not. He was trying to close it before they got there. And what kind of arrogance is it for Mister Terrific to go? I don't need your help.
Well,
Wouldn't
he
you go?
directly
Fine, close
walks
the
up
damn
to the
thing.
guy's terminal,
Right.
is the thing. Like, he walks up to the terminal. I'm pretty sure Mr. Terrific knew exactly what he needed to do because he says, I just can't do it from here. I need to be on one of those computers in that main room, and I can handle it just fine. Also, I mean,
Also,
it's
let's
a high stress situation. The world's about to end. I'm pretty sure I
world
would
wasn't
be.
about to end. That was a ways off. It was about to destroy Metropolis or another town.
It was about to hit another city that wasn't
Right.
evacuated.
Right, but not the world. It wasn't like gonna, eventually it would have got around to the world. Um, I do want to revisit the Lex Luthor billionaire thing. He was not a rich corporate head until John Byrne took over in 86, 87 with Man of Steel. Before that, he was a crazy scientist guy for
Yeah, because he was
50
like
years.
Superman. In one interpretation, he was Superman's friend who goes bald because
That
of
was the
kryptonite
Superboy issues.
poisoning.
Yeah, yeah. So he hasn't always been a billionaire. I
Well,
think he works better as a billionaire because if he's just an evil scientist, then he should not be able to do as much.
from a writing standpoint, I definitely think this movie does a good job of setting up a bunch of other projects. Even though we didn't see a ton of him, I am very excited for Flag Senior in Peacemaker 2.
Right?
He
Which
doesn't
is
show up a ton, but the little bits we see, he does a pretty good job. So I think it'll be.
yeah,
It's
Frank
also,
Grillo.
yeah, it's also interesting because he's the main voice of dissent against bringing in Superman. So comparing that to how he's dealing with Peacemaker, I think is going to be interesting.
Well, I don't think Superman killed his son.
Well, yeah, I know, but like I'm
That's a
saying,
big thing, you know.
yeah,
I'd be offended if someone killed my kid, So Uh, I thought the dialogue was really well done throughout the movie. Like I
yeah.
think overall that's well. Um, there are a couple weird things like the Eve is deceptive, where she looks like a vapid influencer taking photos during these crazy events where she's actually keeping track of what's happening through her selfies. That was pretty clever.
Yeah, that was
Um,
really fun.
I like that twist. I thought it was really good. I thought it was well written. I enjoyed the movie. I also haven't been to a movie theater in a few years. So what was really nice was, since this was a special event for people who wanted to see the movie, lots of people in Superman gear. During the movie, there were no, I don't recall seeing people pull out their phones. I don't People weren't like talking or not paying attention. Like, everybody who wanted to see this on this preview night wanted to be there, and that
Yeah,
made it a real enjoyable experience. I think movies used to feel more community, and you're part of a group of people experiencing something that has evolved into individual pockets now. So
yeah.
it was a fun and really nice experience. I was pleasantly surprised at that.
Uh, just circling back around to Supergirl one more time because I think there's a really fun thing. So, as you mentioned, Superman and Clark don't swear at all the entire movie. He says like "aw shucks," he says like "god
Gosh,
dang it," like
yeah,
he does all of those things, but he never swears. The first thing Kara does when she gets back is she goes, "Thanks for babysitting my dog, bitch," and then goes to hang out with Crypto. And I think that does a great job of immediately setting up the dichotomy between them.
yeah. They're going to be different characters. She's going to be a little bit more rough hewn,
Crass,
edged.
yeah,
She's got. They don't. I don't know how they're going to do the backstory, but in comics, she leaves Krypton as well, sort of to be a help
guide,
raise
yeah,
guide. Good one. Help raise Kal-El
Clark,
on his new
yeah,
planet, and she gets diverted and sort of in status for a while. So when she makes it to Earth, she's still relatively young, and Clark is a adult.
yeah,
So I don't know how they're going to do this. I know they're going to try to base it on the, is it Woman of Tomorrow? It's a Tom King series
yeah.
where she's more in outer space and doing different things. I think the interesting thing though is, so Crypto makes sense, but I think in the comics she has a cat, but I think a
I
dog would
think she
probably
has the
work better.
horse.
She has a horse too, but I think in the run, maybe
Oh,
both
yeah,
appear.
yeah.
Maybe both appear. I'm not sure, but I think it makes sense with
Um,
Crypto, and it was a nice it was a nice tie-in. I like that one a lot. I did not see that coming.
I will say, as much as I'm not 100% sure how I feel about the Jor-El parent reveal thing, it
Yeah,
leads to a kind of sweet scene because at the very start, when he's getting healed, they play that message that came with him when he was sent to Earth in a ship. And at the end of the movie, he's getting healed again, and the robot says the same line of like, "Would you like me to put on
your
the
parents,
video
they
of your
soothe you. Yeah.
parents? It soothes you," and then it shows clips of him being raised on a farm.
Yeah, yeah, it shows him with his adoptive Kent
Yeah,
family. Yeah, I like that. It's a good scene. I think
yeah,
it was a little one of those, like, oh, it's a little melodramatic type of thing, but it
yeah.
works. It works. It's a nice way to wrap up the movie and feel good. So yeah, it was a good movie. I liked it. I thought, I don't think superhero movies should be judged like, other stories. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be over the top, and but there's supposed to be some nice moments in it, and I think that accomplished this movie accomplished that. And I'd go see it. I'd go see it again, I think.
I'd absolutely go see it again.
Yeah. So I'm interested. I think the next thing coming out is Peacemaker in this new universe, which I'm looking forward
Which
to. I really enjoyed the
very
first.
excited for.
I
Yeah.
enjoyed the first series, and it's going to be totally, completely different because there is a lot more cursing and adultness in the Peacemaker. If you haven't seen it,
This was
I
definitely a good foot forward for James Gunn, I
yeah.
think.
And then I'm curious. I don't know what's next after Peacemaker. I know they're doing Creature Commandos 2. Um, think they just I think Supergirl's supposed to come out next June, which I
I'm
don't
not
know if
sure.
I believe I believe that is the date 20 I think like June 26th, like 2026, which I'm not sure I'm thrilled with going from a Superman movie to another Superman universe movie. Um, Let me just check.
Yeah, because I don't know about that. But yeah, if you're stuck around this long and you decided to watch, ignoring the spoiler warning, go see it. If it sounds interesting, I would 100% recommend you spend the money for it. I definitely think this movie deserves a lot of love.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. It's a lot of fun. I don't think you'll be disappointed. And yeah, according to the schedule, the next movie is Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow.
Hmm.
And then the one I'm really tonality looking forward to is currently September 2026. Clayface is a horror movie, but
That I think,
that's a
yeah,
whole
that's
different
an
podcast.
entirely different thing. Yeah,
That'll be yeah, that will not be the I don't think that'll be uplifting as Superman was.
yeah,
So yeah, go see it and let me know if you get a popcorn bucket. We passed on the popcorn buckets. Although
yeah.
they had
They
a
looked
Jaws
kind of
one.
cool. Yeah, the
I like the
Jaws one
Jaws one. The
also.
Jaws one was cool, but I it was like $40 and yeah, I don't need I don't need to put
Yeah.
my hand in a Jaws mouth for $40. So,
So that'll be all, and we'll be signing off. We hope you enjoyed the podcast.
yep, thank you all for listening and we'll see you soon.